Navigating the Heart. Who is Dragging You? By Ock Soo Park. Chapter 1. Heart. Like a river, there is a way the heart flows. There are many people who try to overcome addictions like playing video games, or those who try to quit drinking and smoking. They try with all their strength and determination, but for the most part they end up quitting in the middle. This is due to the fact that they do not know precisely about the world of the heart. Change in life does not come from determination and labour. It is the heart that must first be changed, because like a river, there is a way the heart flows. A drug addict who fell into his thoughts while eating a piece of spoiled bread. There is a man named Julio who lived in New York City. He migrated to the United States at a young age with his family from South America. In America, where there is an abundance of material things, drugs are also very common. Even though the government had tirelessly tried to rid this nation of drugs, they have been unable to do so. As a result, it is very easy for students to get drugs. From his youth, Julio had been doing drugs for almost 20 years. If you have done as much drugs as he had done, you are surely a drug addict. Julio needed drugs, but he couldn't hold a job, so he would beg and steal to get money to buy more drugs. As long as he was high, he did not feel cold, hot, or even hungry. When Julio was high, his heart felt very comfortable. Because he simply could not quit the drugs, he became homeless at a young age and ended up living and sleeping on park benches. One day, as the drugs wore off, Julio became very, very hungry. So hungry that he started to search through the garbage for food. There were pieces of bread from discarded hamburgers that were half eaten by children and thrown away in the park garbage. When Julio searched through the garbage, he found a piece of bread that someone had thrown away. Julio devoured them. After eating for a while, he noticed a strange taste. The taste came from one of the pieces of bread that had been spoiled. At first, he had been eating it mindlessly because he was so hungry. He only realized it was spoiled after he became full. He looked at the piece of spoiled bread in his hand and then at the pieces of the bread that had fallen to the ground and fell into the following thought. What am I doing right now? How did I end up becoming this kind of person? Everyone else buys and eats bread that's fresh from the bakery, so why am I eating spoiled bread from the trash? Other people my age are married and have homes, but in my entire life I could never actually see myself buying a home, and I will probably never get married. What kind of a woman would want to marry a drug addict? Will I ever be able to have my own car one day? Will I even be able to afford a car that is a piece of junk? What will happen to me in the future? And as he looked at himself, he compared himself to others for the first time. Other people drive and ride in their own cars. Other people get married and come to the park for a walk with their beautiful wives and children. Other people wear nice clothes and new shoes, but what's wrong with me? I've been addicted to drugs my whole life, and I am just going to live pitifully like this, and this is exactly how my life will end. Drugs have ruined my life. While he was doing drugs, he never once thought about this, but for the first time in 20 years, he discovered what a failure he had become. All of a sudden, he wanted to get married. He wanted to live in a comfortable home, take his family to the park and play, and to go to the bakery to buy and eat the bread he wanted. That kind of heart erupted inside him, but when he looked at his own image, these dreams seemed intangible. It started to seem that if he continued to live the way he was living, he would end up diseased, suffering, alone on the park bench, and finally dead. At that instant, he felt fearful of the death in his heart. Nevertheless, Julio continued to do drugs and was caught by the police and sent to a drug rehabilitation center. In drug rehabilitation centers, you are not allowed to go outside for a period of time, and during that time, they train you to quit drugs. From the first day, the counselor spoke to the addicts who were mandated to be there, saying, "Everyone, you want to quit drugs, don't you? I know you very well. Through your efforts, you can never quit drugs. If you really want to quit drugs, then from this moment on, listen carefully to what I say. I have worked as a drug rehab counselor for a long time. I know how you can quit drugs." The amazing thing was that Julio had already been to rehab twice and had heard the same counselor speak the same words, but those words had gone in one ear and out the other in the past. This time, he was able to hear what the counselor was saying. "That's right," he thought to himself. "That is who I used to be." As Julio listened word for word to what the counselor said, he took a look around him. Everyone in the room was a drug addict, but no one was concentrating on what the counselor was saying. There were people who had their heads down sleeping, people who were messing around with the person sitting next to them, and people dozing off, thinking about other things. Julio had been like that before, but when he clearly discovered that he could only die from drugs in the very end, his heart began to change. Finally, he was able to actually hear what the counselor was saying. As people live, when they think that they're right, when they think that they're good, when they think that they're great, and when they think that they're smart, they are unable to listen to anything other people say. No matter what anyone says, that person will only select and listen to whatever fits his or her own heart. On the other hand, if you are a failure in life, if you are the person who has done wrong, and if you can acknowledge that you are the person who is wrong, then you can actually hear the words another person is telling you. And just like that, Julio was able to say, "So that's why I wasn't able to quit drugs." He was then able to concentrate on what the counselor was saying. "For 20 years I have lived being held inside of drugs, but now if I continue to listen like this, then I can quit drugs." As he had had such thoughts, he was able to gain strength in his heart, and just about time when he was ready to finish his time in rehab, he was able to completely quit drugs. Now he has come to our church in Manhattan, and his life has changed. Julio's life of wearing raggedy sneakers and sleeping on a park bench is finally over. After thinking about his future and how he would inevitably end up dying pitifully, he began to crumble within. It was because of this new position that the words of others were able to enter his heart. There are many people who try to quit playing video games, smoking, or drinking. They become determined and use all their strength to do this. While some people do accomplish this and change, most people fail along the way. This is because people do not clearly know what the world of the heart is. Change in life does not happen through determination and effort. It is the heart that must first be changed.